Welcome to the Luxury Travel Guide for Cambria, California. Equidistant between Los Angeles and San Francisco, Cambria is a wonderful destination for a couple's getaway. But first, who am I? My name's Jamie and I'm a travel advisor. As an independent affiliate of Fora Travel, I have access to their network of boutique hotels and other brand partners to get you, the clients, the best discounts and VIP perks that you can. I'm also a huge travel fan myself, having traveled across the globe with loved ones, family, and friends, and over the last 8 or so years, traveling predominantly with my partner, doing amazing couples trips all across the US and the world. And so I also love these major publications, as you can see, as well as other research methods, just to make sure I'm staying up to date with everything travel related. So, what are we going to cover today? We're going to talk about an overview of Cambria, California, some key hotels to know, some key restaurants to know, some activities both near Cambria as well as some day trips in the surrounding area, and my final thoughts on Cambria as a great destination. So let's start with the overview. So Cambria is a very quaint town, and that's what drew me there initially in the first place. Me and my partner drove up the 4 hours from Los Angeles. We spent a weekend there, and it was just a really magical time, very laid back, quiet, relaxing, really rejuvenative in a lot of ways. And so when you look at this map, we'll see it's not very big at all. Moonstone Beach is the predominant beach here that you'll see on this leftmost section in that red box. There's a lot of hotels, and the two hotels that I'm going to highlight are located on Moonstone Beach. There's a couple restaurants as well. And really, it's just a nice place to walk. We saw a bunch of dolphins when we were there. A lot of surfers are there as well. And so it's usually cloudy mornings that clear up for the afternoons, but it's really a beautiful place to just walk around and relax. And then if you go into town, which is where these two other red boxes are, there's kind of a main street here, as well as another main street over on this section. These are where the majority of the restaurants, stores, and other wineries are as well. And then just off to the right here is Stolo Winery, which was my favorite winery that we stopped in when we were in Cambria, and that's one I'll touch on in a bit. But really, to get from Moonstone Beach to get to the town itself, this is a pretty short bike or walk. We definitely recommend having a car in Cambria, just because to get to any of the day trips or other activities like Hearst Castle, you would need a car to get there. And because it's pretty far from other major cities, Uber and Lyft aren't really that active. So we definitely recommend having a car, but just to get into town, you easily could drive, or you could take a bike. Many hotels have bike access, or if you wanted to walk, you could do that as well. So I don't want to spend too much time on this information, so I'm going to let you pause the video here and check this out. The only thing I will note is, as I just mentioned, a rental car is definitely recommended. If you're driving up from Los Angeles or driving down from San Francisco, then you already have a car. But if you're not and you're flying in, then getting a rental car is definitely a recommendation. So some key events to keep in mind when traveling to Cambria. There's the Cambria Film Festival in early February, which could just impact the accommodation availability. Wildflower bloom from mid-March to May, which makes it a lot of people's favorite time to go. Really beautiful wildflowers all over California and the Central Coast. Then harvest season from August to October. Obviously, this area is very wine heavy and wine infused, and so from this period of time, you might be getting a lot of access to different fresh wines. Then the Scarecrow Festival in October. I'm not sure that it necessarily draws a big audience, but something to keep in mind that if you go during this period of time, you'll see a lot of scarecrows. And then there is a Christmas market in December if you are looking for something a little bit more festive. But most people's favorite time of the year is mid-March to May from the wildflowers, or August to October for that harvest season. And as you can see, just from the general vibes here, there's like the wine, as I mentioned. This big photo is with the barn is Solo Winery. And then you have Moonstone Beach on the right side, the upper right there, that is a beautiful boardwalk and where some of these hotels are located. And then just other restaurants with great seaside views and built into some great locations as well. So hotels, this is my favorite part as always. Really, in Cambria, we have two major contenders for hotels, and you're not really going to find anything above a 3-star. So I'm just going to say that now. That doesn't mean that they're bad hotels by any means. They're still really great hotels, but if you're looking for a 5-star, you won't find that. So the first hotel we're going to talk about here is Whitewater. It's a 3-star hotel, really great aesthetic design, located on Moonstone Beach. Now, it's a 25-room hotel, so it's pretty small still, but this is definitely the one that I would recommend for most clients if it's in your budget, which ends up being usually around $400 to $600 a night. The rooms are very spacious, about 25, as I mentioned. It's aesthetically focused, so there's a lot of, as you can just tell through all these photos, design is a really big factor for them, and it's really great. You see a lot of different Instagram posts and great posts coming from this just because of the cool design of the rooms, the bathrooms, the lobby space. And this third photo is from the lobby, so you can see it steps from the beach, which is really great. You can get bikes, which you can see in this fourth photo, complimentary from the hotel to ride around Moonstone Beach, ride into town. There's just first come, first serve bikes. There's a lot of great amenities as well in terms of the bathroom amenities and other things that they can provide. And there is a not full restaurant, but the ability to get certain food item menus, and there's a bar as well in the in the lobby. And so it really is the top option, I would say, for anyone traveling to Cambria and interested in staying on Moonstone Beach, which would be my recommendation. As I mentioned, it steps from Moonstone Beach, so it's just up here on the left on the map. It's 2.5 miles from the town center, which you could drive if you have a car, or you could bike using the complimentary bikes that they provide at the hotel, or you could walk as well if you want to walk that far. It is definitely a quiet area being on Moonstone Beach, so it's very peaceful and relaxing and a great sunset. And there are some other restaurants that you can, like an oyster bar on Moonstone Beach, that are a much shorter walk if that's something you're interested in too. Here you can see a couple more photos, a bit more fully fleshed out, just to get a sense of the room and the lobby. And of course, if you book a hotel like Whitewater through a travel advisor like myself, you get some additional perks, including for Whitewater specifically, a welcome treat, a 25 hotel credit per room per day, a guaranteed 1 p.m. late checkout on your final day, and if available, a check-in and upgrade to your next room type. So of course, reach out if that's something you're interested in doing. Now let's talk about Cambria Beach Lodge, which is the second hotel I would recommend when talking about staying in Cambria. Now this is a two-star hotel, and this is actually the one that I stayed in when I visited Cambria back in October a couple years ago. It's a really quaint hotel, a little closer to town. It's still on Moonstone Beach, as you can see in this photo, but it is about a half mile closer, so it makes it a bit of a shorter walk or bike. They have king rooms. The rooms aren't quite as aesthetically designed as Whitewater, but the overall pricing of this hotel is definitely cheaper. It sits closer in the $300 a night range. So that is something to keep in mind compared to the Whitewater, which is the $400 to $600 a night range. Now, they also have a bit more of a crunchy aesthetic. Still a very well designed, well up kept up hotel, but as you can just see, they use a bit more natural materials that make you feel like you're a little more connected to nature, I would say, than in Whitewater, which is more aesthetically focused. They have a great viewing deck that is a story up for sunsets, and you can get drinks and sit out there with drinks or snacks, and it's a really great sunset viewing experience. And they have some great amenities as well, from bathroom amenities to those bikes, just like Whitewater has. So if you drive to the hotel, but you don't want to have to drive into town and you don't want to walk, you could always take the bikes. Now, it's just a little bit down from Whitewater, as you can see here. It's still on Moonstone Beach, so you still get that great access, that great view, but it's about a half mile closer, so it just makes it a shorter drive, bike, or walk, whichever you want to do. And again, just like Whitewater, it's a quiet area, it's peaceful, it's great for sunset. And really, I think the reason people go to Canberra, in my opinion, is to kind of get that retreat feel where it's very quiet, it's very quaint, things close early, and you just get to retreat in a little bit. And I think if you're going to do that, then staying on Moonstone Beach is the way to do it. Now at Cambria Beach Lodge, they are the same perks that you would get at Whitewater in terms of this welcome treat, the $25 hotel credit per day per room, the guaranteed 1 p.m. late checkout on your last day, and the upgrade to next room type. And as you can see here, again, some more fleshed out photos of what this vibe is with a great viewing deck. But of course, if you are interested in booking the beach lodge, do let me know. So Whitewater and Cambria Beach Lodge definitely are the two places that I would recommend, which is why I focused on them. But if you look at the accommodation availability in Cambria, you will see a lot of other options as well. So I wanted to highlight some of those. El Colibri Hotel and Spa is just off of Moonstone Beach. It's a bit closer to the freeway entrance, so it's a little louder, but it does have a more focus on the spa side of things, if that's something you'd care about. And all of these are 3-star options, as you can see as well. Um, Cambria Pines Lodge is closer to town. It is a lodge feel, so it has a restaurant. They have some musical artists that'll play there, and it's closer to the Christmas market if that's something that you're going for. But ultimately, it's a bit more of a lodge feel. It doesn't quite have that upscale hotel aesthetic. And then Fireside Inn, Fogcatcher Inn, and Ocean Point Ranch are 3 of the many options on Moonstone Beach. Ocean Point Ranch is nice, but there's a lot of weddings there, I will mention. So if you are going to go, confirming in advance if there's a wedding, just because it might limit your access to some of their amenities. But regardless, all of them are going to be ultimately on the beach or very close to the beach. Now we get to restaurants, which is my second favorite part of these presentations besides hotels. So in Cambria, we have 5 main restaurants that I'm going to point out here. We have Robin's, which is a great dinner spot. I had dinner here with my partner, and it was a really great experience. It's located in an old Adobe style home, so it's super cozy, super homey, but the food is really fresh. They have a lot of different options for everyone, regardless of eating style or eating preferences. It's right in the center of town, so very easy access with parking or walking or biking, and really a great spot to check out. So this would be definitely the number 1 on my list. Sea Chest Oyster Bar is seafood, of course, and oysters, which is also really high on my list, but obviously a very different style than Robin's. And so this is a dinner spot. It's located right on Moonstone Beach, so just a short walk away from Cambria Beach Lodge or Whitewater. This is an establishment that has been existing in Cambria since the 70s. It just changed ownership a couple years ago, but by somebody who's worked there for over 30 years. So it's holding strong with its tradition and its establishment feel. They have obviously great seafood, as it is an oyster bar, and it's just really a perfect afternoon, evening cocktail, wine, seafood, oysters style of eating. So definitely, if you have multiple nights here, definitely check it out. Especially if you get blessed with a good day or a good sunset, this is quite the place to be. Then we have Hidden Kitchen, which is more of a breakfast spot. And so this is definitely one of the newer spots in Cambria. It was opened in 2018. Their organic blue corn waffles are really their major thing, and it's one of the big things on their menu. They have sweet and savory options within that. I believe they're naturally gluten free, which is great. And as its name suggests, it's hidden. So you kind of have to go behind a couple stores to find it, but just do a quick search and you'll be able to quickly find out where the entrance is. Then a little less luxe, as I should say, but still just a staple of the area. Main Street Grill is a classic grill style, lunch, dinner spot. Barbecue is what they're known for. They claim to have served over 10 million tri-tip sandwiches since they opened decades ago. And they've been open for over 30 years without closing a single day. So definitely a local spot. You can always, trust it to be open through. They have barbecue, as I mentioned. They have some seafood. They have just kind of general grill foods. So again, nothing that's too special in terms of the food style, but if you are hungry and just looking for a bite to eat, this is also closer to Moonstone Beach than some of these other options. And Lynn's is a more full service breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert place. They are an establishment as well. The Lynn family came to Cambria in the 70s, opened their farm, and then over the years have opened a few different restaurants, a farm store, things like that. The olali berry pie is what they are known for and what their staple is. So that's why I put dessert on here. Even if you don't go there for a full meal, then consider stopping in, grabbing a slice of pie. So these are the 5 restaurants. The top 2 are definitely the ones I would recommend the most, Robin's and Sea Chest, but the other 3 will be great just to check out, or if you have a few days there as well. Cambria is somewhere you go if you are looking for a more relaxed weekend. It's not a city, it's not a hustle and bustle. Things close a bit earlier than you might be used to, but there is a lot to do still. Moonstone Beach, great boardwalk. You can walk on the beach. It's great in the morning, in the afternoon, for an evening. And so that's, of course, one thing to do. Then a short drive or bike away, there's Fiscalini Ranch Preserve, which is a really great coastal walk. You can spend a few hours there just kind of exploring and connecting with nature again. And I think that's a really peaceful thing to do when you go to Cambria. I really enjoyed it when I did it. Of course, you can bike and walk through the town, check out the little stores. Cambria is known for not having any big chains, so you won't see any big chains, which is cool. So you can shop local. Stash Local Goods is somewhere that obviously prides itself on all of its local vendors. And so there's a lot of cool little knickknacks. It's a great place to get gifts for people. And then, of course, you can't go to this region of the Central Coast without talking about wine. And so Stola Winery is a great winery just a little farther from the town center. So if you have a car, definitely recommend driving to Stolo, or you could bike as well. It just might be a bit of a longer bike, but definitely recommend it. It's a really peaceful little plot of land. They have a bunch of great wines, especially if you get a great weather day, just to go out, sit in their tasting room. They have a coursed out tasting menu with different glasses of wine that you can try from their samples, and it's really just a nice experience. It's one of the highlights of my trip. So those are all things you could get to by biking or walking. A little farther away, there is Covell Clydesdales, which if you're interested in horse riding or want to check out some Clydesdale horses, Covell Clydesdales is something that definitely is a cool experience, especially if you have a group trip that you want to set that up for. A reservation is required though, so make sure that you do the appropriate reservation requirements. And then Stepladder Creamery is a goat farm that does goat cheeses and dairy cheeses as well. It's definitely become more popular over the last few years. You can go and see how they make their cheeses. There's different cheeses you can try. You can pet with the goats, and you can spend some time there. That one also does require a reservation, though. So either one of those two would be important to book in advance. Then Elephant Seals, there is a cove just up the coast. So definitely a drive away, but not too far, where you can see hundreds of elephant seals. They're loud, they're kind of stinky, but they are a cool sight to see if you are able to make your way up there. And it's just before Hirsch Castle, which is a little bit farther as well. I'm talking not more than 20, 30 minutes though. Hirsch Castle was closed for a bit during COVID, but it's reopened now. And if you like architecture and history, then it's a great place to check out. And the history tie-in to zebras is really interesting as well. And so if you see on your drive up to the Elephant Seals and to Hirsch Castle, if you get lucky, you might see some wild zebras roaming. And yes, in fact, they are zebras. They are not horses painted like zebras. And this was one of the really, cool things of my trip when we were there. We managed to see a whole herd of zebras just off the highway. So we stopped and took some photos, and it was a really cool experience. Definitely not something you expect to be seeing in California. And then from a day trip perspective, there is SLO, San Luis Obispo, which is about 40 minutes away from Cambria. There's Paso Robles, which is about 40 minutes. And then Big Sur, which usually would be a lot closer than 3 hours, but due to the Highway 1 closure, as of December 2024, then you'd have to go the long way around to get to Big Sur, which makes it about 3 hours right now. So probably would do a Big Sur trip separately, but at least for looking ahead to 2025, then San Luis Obispo and Paso Robles would be the two spots that you could do day trips to if you're staying in Cambria, but you have maybe an extra day that you want to spend outside of the town. So my final thoughts for Cambria are that it's perfect for a couples trip, a weekend getaway, a wine tasting adventure, a nature retreat, or a Christmas market adventure as well if you go in December. Of course, you can do multiple of these at the same time. When I went, it was a couples trip and a weekend getaway in one, and I think that is one of the best ways to do it, especially if you're living in Los Angeles or San Francisco and you can make the drive down or up for a long weekend, spend 2 or 3 days there, just decompress, relax, and have a great, couple days. I think that's the best way to do it. Now, if you do want to go to Cambria after seeing this presentation, which I wouldn't blame you, then reach out. I can help you with hotels, rental cars, activities, and getting you those best perks and VIP status that you deserve, as well as preferred rates. Now, of course, there is no fee to you to work with me as an advisor, which is great. And so if you are interested in that and you want to just have that initial conversation to see how I can help, reach out at jamie.mcneil@fora.travel. And of course, if you like this presentation and you want to stay up to date with other 2025 couples trip destinations moving forward, hit subscribe to the channel and you'll see more of these videos in your inbox. So have a great rest of your day, and thank you for tuning in.